Namaste, Jai Hind, Vande Mataram. Welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narasimhan, and without much further ado, let's dive straight into the subject matter of today's first discussion with somebody who's part of this debate that was conducted in Kolkata, where the entire aspect of being a Hindu and Hindutva, there was an attempt to try and divide it into two parts, Hinduism versus Hindutva, giving Hindutva a political color that is being propagated by the RSS. Somewhere, viewers, one gets the feeling that there are attempts to try and divide the Hindu way of life itself, and it resonates from what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said, that they may have changed their methods, but their intent has not yet changed, to try and divide, break Bharat, break Hindu society itself. Is it also an attempt to try and create a parallel to political Islam, Islamism or Islamists and Islam in the Hindu lexicon? Let's ask this with someone who's present at that debate altogether. Sai Deepak, senior Supreme Court lawyer, joins us live, takes the right stand. Namaste, Sai Deepak. Thank you for your time. Can you take us through what happened there and what kind of arguments were made and your assessment of what transpired?
So I think, first of all, I'd like to congratulate the Calcutta Debating Club for having organized this debate through their prestigious platform at a venue such as the Calcutta Club, which tells you that finally the doors of certain portals have opened for this conversation, which was hitherto not possible. So that's one. Second, close to 1,800 to 2,000 people turned up for this debate from the elite of the Calcutta society. So I think that tells you that there is a significant degree of interest. Third, insofar as the presentation from the other side was concerned, here the motion was this, so let me tell you what the motion was about in the first place. It was Hinduism needs protection from Hindutva. That was the binary manner in which the motion was presented, which I think is fair. That's up to them. Everybody has their own point of view. Except that in perhaps recent history, this is for the first time that the motion was voted out by a majority of the audience. Which means they did not accept this binary that Hinduism needs protection from Hindutva, and this comes from the elites of the Calcutta society at the Calcutta Club.
Wow.
Okay. Second, despite this being apparent, the organizers took the position that perhaps the outcome was indecisive, but fortunately, several attendees put out the videos and pictures of the show of hands on the result, which made it abundantly clear which way the debate went. Now, on the limited question of this binary, I think you should look at it slightly differently. I disagree as to whether there is in fact a distinction between Islam and Islamism. And I certainly believe that the distinction between Hindutva and Hinduism is also faulty. Okay? But Hindutva is not the same as Islamism. There is a different outcome altogether. There is a different connotation to it altogether. Hindutva has become necessary to protect the core of Sanatana dharma. Therefore, it is primarily, let's say, a response created out of certain existing circumstances that have continued for thousands of years. And fortunately, we were able to show, as part of this entire discussion, that the history of Hindutva as sought to be presented by the other side is stuck in a time warp of the last 50 years. That I think that message has gone loud and clear to the audience.
True. But in terms of the argument of this attempt, see, there was Audrey Trushka who said dismantle global Hindutva, direct affiliation to RSS. It started in America, this narrative, about 2 years ago. And then now it percolates down into the elite of Calcutta and perhaps across Bharat. How do you view this attempt? And is there any fact behind all of this argument?
I've always believed, and that's been one of the central theses of the work that I've put together in my books as well as my public engagements, that the position with respect to Hindutva that is held forth by the Nehruvian cabal along with their Marxist leftist cohorts is a continuum of the position taken by the erstwhile colonizer, wherein any form of assertive, protective, reclamatory Hinduism or Hindutva in that sense, or Hindu-ness, because Hindutva translates to Hindu-ness, poses a threat to their expansionist worldview and therefore needs to be quelled under any circumstances, even through fabrication of history and facts. Okay, so there is a clear ideological continuum, And I suspect there is also a clear handshake at some stage between the parties concerned, because it works to their advantage to constantly demonize the possibility of the Hindu reclaiming her space in public life, in spiritual life, under the rubric of the constitution without violating anybody else's rights.
But somebody being called a Hindutvawadi, if they support the RSS or if they belong or align with the RSS or the BJP, and others trying to say, listen, I'm a Hindu, not a Hindutvawadi.
So, if communism is an ideology and communism is allowed to have a political vehicle, why shouldn't Hindutva have the same benefit of a political representation? If a certain worldview or every other worldview is entitled to political representation from Ambedkarism to whatnot, why shouldn't Hindutva ideology get a political representation? So it's almost as if they're saying that political representation is available to every other ideology, whether or not it works in the interest of Bharat, except Hindutva. Then that's a seriously hypocritical position. It's an unconstitutional position, for God's sakes. Every societal position is capable of representation at the political level under the umbrella of the constitution. To say that Hindutva must only remain a passive social experiment with no political representation whatsoever is illogical and unconstitutional both. But second, as far as I am concerned, there is a certain political necessity, let's say civilizational necessity, that translates to a political vision, not the other way around. And I, for one, have always said, notwithstanding whichever organization thinks of itself as the intellectual descendant of Savarkar and the torchbearer of Hindutva as on date, Hindutva is a diverse umbrella under itself, in and of itself, which means there are multiple strands within it. Okay? So no single organization, notwithstanding the yeoman work it may have undertaken in the service of the cause, can claim to be the sole repository of Hindutva, for God's sakes. Okay? And again, I repeat, God's in the plural.
Right.
Therefore, you have the Aurobindo vision, you have the Vivekananda vision, you have the Rabindranath Tagore vision, you have the Bankim Chandra Chatterjee vision. All of these coalesce together, and people have not actually asked what was the influence of their vision on Sri Savarkar and subsequently the founders of RSS. Okay, that's a question that people have not asked, because that requires a deeper historical reading. In my humble view, all of them have influenced each other in one way or another. It's not as if these are two separate compartments. The problem with the entire representation of Hindutva by the other side is to say that this is entirely Savarkarite, and therefore there's a problem with it because he was influenced by European nationalism, so on and so forth, without realizing, no, there is a certain end goal that may have been relevant to the time at that point, and which may continue to be relevant even today. Therefore, a certain way of rallying people together under a single umbrella is the limited inspiration that people may have drawn. Just as Netaji thought it was perfectly fine to ally with a certain set of people to decolonize Bharat from the British man. Right?
Yeah.
So, the very same people who celebrate Netaji have a problem with Savarkar without asking, is there a thought continuum between Subhash Chandra Bose, Savarkar, Vivekananda, Aurobindo, Bankim Chandra Chatterjee and Chandranath Bose of 1892? That's a question people have not asked.
True. The other part is, like you see in Tamil Nadu, the lexicon has been tweaked a little bit to say Sanatana dharma versus
Hinduism.
Yeah,
correct.
Hinduism. So the schism remains. Hindus are those who are inclusive, who are secular, who are pawams, who will give the other cheek and who will only practice non-violence, who cannot pick up and... So again, this is painting...
are not idiots when they make this statement, and I think I want to clarify this. What they're basically saying is, Hinduism as defined by the constitution goes beyond Vedic religion. Okay? And if you look at Article 25, therefore it includes Buddhism, Jainism, Sikhism, so on and so forth. So therefore they strike this distinction that they don't have a problem with Hinduism, but they certainly have a problem with Sanatana Dharma, therefore the Vedic religion. That's their entire issue. Now, even if that were to be the position, therefore they are saying it is possible for them to take a position with respect to a particular theology and say that they're against the theology. I am asking a simple question. Is the very same freedom available to the rest of us with respect to any other theology? Simple.
That freedom is not allowed, because then if you demand that freedom, then you are fascist. You are a Hindutvawadi, you are fascist, and you are an extremist force.
Correct. So Dravidianism basically says we are okay with Hinduism, but we are not okay with Sanatana Dharma because their problem is with the Vedic religion. That is their clear position. Okay. And this position is not illogical, except that they are saying that the fount of Hindu Dharma is Veda Dharma. Because at the end of the day, whether it is the Shramanas or the Jains or the Bauddhas or whoever they may be, all of their positions are with respect to the Vedic religion because it is either in opposition or in support.
Yeah.
Okay. Without Veda Dharma, everybody else does not have a standing in and by themselves because they have chosen to either support it or, let's say, take certain stands of it or oppose it. You take away Veda Dharma, there is no other faith system as far as Indian faith systems are concerned because this is the fount of everything. This is the, let's say, the epicenter around which all other identities revolve.
Right.
Now, you can't be in support of temples and be against Veda Dharma. And I see this across ideological spectrum. Anybody who makes this statement is making a fundamentally stupid argument.
Fair point that you make. The other thing is that when you say dharma, it is not a faith or a pantha, it is a way of life. In the sense, how in Bharatakanda or in Jambudipa or in Sindhu Desham, how would we live? And that was what was the Vedic methods said, that this is how you should live and this is how you should progress. Amazing conversation, Sai Deepak. I know you've got another briefing to attend. It's a long way, but we'll have a longer conversation very, very soon. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very, very much. So the twa or the essence within us is always what it always remains. Thank you very much, Sai Deepak. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let us as human beings hold on to the twa of remaining a human, being a human. That's the Hinduness or the humanness amongst us. So we can't separate that from us, can we?